Welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a best-of-3 series of Zerg versus Protoss. We're in game number 1. In the top right-hand corner of the map, we're looking inside of the main base of Dark. And his opponent, a man who I recently casted going up against Bjorn. And it seems like a lot of you, really quite enjoyed the way that he approaches the game. We're looking at none other than Nightmare's main Nexus. Now, in case you missed that one video that I uploaded of Nightmare going up against Bjorn, I mean, I know that doesn't mean anything because you guys watch every single second of every single one of my videos, and you guys always hit the like button, right? But maybe you just have forgotten about it. Nightmare did a phenomenal job against Bjorn playing a long, drawn-out macro game, and, well, today he's going up against a Zerg player who... oh no. Who approaches this game a little bit differently than Bjorn. Dark, what in the world is this? I've seen this once before and it was honestly horrible. So here's the problem, right? This expansion is meant to be mined from this side. That's where the gas geyser is, that's where, well, 2 of the mineral fields are as well, because from this side, only the front-facing, I guess for the hatchery at least, the front-facing 4 mineral fields will be accessible. You can obviously kill these rocks, right? Or I guess, well, destroy them, probably a better word than kill, which will ultimately open up the back 2 mineral fields, but at that point the drones would have to travel such a long time that I wonder if, for 6 mineral fields in total, this really is worth the hassle? Then again though, Dark, generally speaking, he thrives in chaos, right? That's where he's very good. Nightmare will see a bunch of drones leaving. He will probably make the assumption that the mineral field over here in the back was mined out and that Dark decided to go for the more conventional approach to taking this gold base first. But it's not the case. Okay. I guess the main advantage for this particular position is that you can go for a queen march very, very nicely, right? I'm trying to make sense of this particular strat here from Dark. So we see it quite a bit, that Zerg players mine out the mineral field over here in the back first, and then they go for the hatchery over here, and then they go for a queen march like that, or I guess they may go around to the other side as well. With this particular hatchery positioning, especially if this queen goes for like a quick creep tumor, if she goes creep tumor first, I think Dark is planning on marching the queens towards the other side of the map. Well, at this point, Nightmare will see what he's going up against, and yep, he now knows, in case he didn't read his opponent's nickname yet, that he is definitely playing against Dark, because nobody else plays like this, because it's bad. Anyways, a couple of Zerglings do manage to sneak into the base. Everything is a-okay right here on the side of the Protoss. Okay, getting 2 worker kills would be huge. Actually, quite a significant error right there from Nightmare, who's... alright, mining out the minerals over here in the middle, so the Adept can also go around the side. I actually love that. So Nightmare wants to harass these drones from the back, hoping that maybe mining out these minerals over there can work out in his favor, but... luckily here for Dark, he has already, well, thought about that too, so he decided to knock down the debris early. Or as I called it earlier, he decided to kill the debris early to make sure that the Zergling could still step over towards the other side of that wall as well. Zergling over here still going to town, by the way. This guy already has 2 confirmed kills. Not gonna get a 3rd. Alrighty. Oracle number 1 will be available here right now for Nightmare, and this can turn into a bit of a nightmare for Dark. Because Dark is in the dark about this Nightmare. Oh my god, I'm so clever. The problem here is that... no, I think there's enough. Yeah, there's enough speedlings over here. There's also... yeah, enough queens. Don't commit. Okay, I was gonna say, that would be a disaster. 2 drones end up going down, not bad. So there is, by the way, a quick creep tumor. Not the first energy from that queen, it seems, but... I would still be very concerned right here if I was Nightmare. Because these ladies are gonna be able to march very easily to the side of, well, their next door neighbor, right? Dark's like, yo, did you accept that package for me? I mean, I've been waiting for a package for a little while. Mind if I come and check it out with my queens for a little bit? Maybe you've got the package that I've been waiting for quite a couple of days now. And he'll be able to, Roach Warren comes up. He'll be able to look for it, yeah. No lair or anything along those lines. No evolution chamber. I think Dark is ready to march the ladies. Look at them putting down a couple creep tumors on their way out. You love to see it. And this is actually very early. So 35 drones only here for Dark. This is the only thing that makes this build make sense. And I still don't think it makes a lot of sense, but the problem here is, right, that losing a Stalker here is not great. Nice little bit of juking and driving here, though, from Nightmare. He actually saves it, and he kills the Overlord. Okay. Obviously, that income advantage, right? The golden minerals provide, at least for a little bit in this game so far, it's really, really helpful. It allows Dark to pump out more units than he ordinarily would be able to. Plus, with the positioning of that hatch, he can just simply get that expansion, well, to cross that creep straight towards the opponent's third base. Nice micro here by Nightmare, though. Really keeping a lot of those units alive. He's going for a forward shield battery, too, which I think is very cool. Don't know if it's good, but I think it's cool anyways. Yeah, this hatchery at the very least is dead, but honestly, I think losing the, or Protoss hatchery, losing the Nexus here, not really that big of a deal. I think it's more important that Nightmare just stabilizes. I don't think he should be sitting out here. He's got energy, though, on the sentries. Yep, there we go. Perfect, honestly. I'm telling you guys, Nightmare really has stepped it up over the last couple of months in particular. He's been getting a lot better. So, he still has 44 workers right now compared to 35 drones. As long as he can stabilize, this is okay. The problem is, yeah, there's a lot more Zerg units right now knocking at his front door. Nexus goes down. Keep in mind, with the Cybercore going down, he will not be able to warp in new Stalkers. So, yeah, Cybercore 2.0 currently building inside of the main base. Blink is about halfway done here, which is not the greatest follow-up, I don't think, in this particular situation. He's gonna have to warp in Zealots. I don't think he can wait. We have too much money in the bank, Nightmare. Yeah, losing that gateway over there at the front as well actually really does suck. Battery overcharge activated, but not at the perfect moment, because it was activated as it essentially got shut down. Okay. Dark still has not justified this opener, though. But I think he's going to. Yep. Corrosive biles are raining from the skies. Zerglings are starting to break through. And that was on a razor's edge. Nightmare almost had the perfect defense, but then, well, like a house of cards, it all came tumbling down. Alrighty, and next up we find ourselves on the map Oceanborn. Nightmare, by the way, apparently part of Team Mecherino. In case you're wondering what that helmet that's spinning around on his main Nexus is. In the meantime, of course, Dark, he's had his own face spinning around on his hatchery for a long time. And to be fair, that is one of the coolest portraits that you can have drawn of yourself, right? Like, that is genuinely very cool. And I believe that is also from the year that Dark won the StarCraft 2 World Championships. So back in the day, Blizzard used to have this artwork done for all of the participants at BlizzCon, and I think this is when Dark ended up winning the whole thing. So nice little memory for Dark, I'm sure. Nightmare, though, I think he can be pretty happy with that previous game. All things considered, he didn't really know exactly what he was playing against. That was a bit of a weird start. And his crisis management was really good until it wasn't, right? I know that's basically the case with every game of StarCraft, but like the first 90% of his defense was very solid, and it almost looked like he was going to be able to shut that down with basically all of his workers intact. Yeah, I guess he lost the third, fair enough. But the problem is, right, you can't really make a lot of mistakes when you're playing Protoss in the early game. You have like 6 units in total, and you have to micro every single one of them individually, and you can't really afford losing any of them. So when you start, yeah, losing one, you lose the second usually not too long after. Battery did not end up overcharging in time, and maybe you should have picked the other battery instead, or maybe you repositioned his pylons a little bit. That was a funky build right there from Dark. I would imagine that the next time Dark does that exact build against Nightmare, he shuts it down with ease. Anyways, nothing all too fancy you can do on Oceanborn, though. The problem is, while Dark is a very aggressive Zerg, and he loves, well, sending the queens across, Nidus worms, the whole shenanigans, he's actually one of the very best late game players in the world, too. So, you wouldn't say it, right? Like, I can imagine there's some of you that don't watch a ton of StarCraft, and you just occasionally see a Dark replay, and you're like, huh. This game, this man, a bit of a cheeser. He doesn't really mind playing hyper aggressively every game. The problem is his late game is absurdly good. He just doesn't play it very often. Like, a lot of the games just simply end before that point. Anyhow, Nightmare, at least judging off of the games that he's played recently, for example, that game against Bjorn, but also a bunch of others that I've seen him play, he is fond of playing the late game, actually. So in my mind, he always did play a bit of a cheesy style, but maybe I'm actually mistaken. He has been playing quite a bit late game as of late, and yeah. Curious to see how he would do against somebody of Dark's caliber. Third base taken once again as the very first expansion right here for Dark. Nothing all too annoying though right there for the Zerg. Again, I mean, this is a map where you can go for a Queen March. Spreading creep from here straight towards the other side of the map. It's a little bit of distance to cover. It's not a super quick rush distance, but we do see a lot of Queen Marches on this map too, especially from Zerg players like, for example, Dark. The Dark at least get a glimpse right there of the... Yep, he did. So he knows he's going up against an Oracle start once again. Yeah, so in the games that I've seen Nightmare play as of late, he is playing stock standard StarCraft. Nothing spicy, nothing too weird. It looks like he's just gotten better at controlling, well, the game overall, which is so much easier said than done. Okay, well, that's a dead adept. Maybe the other adept can get something done? Yeah, this is bad. Beautiful defense, of course, by Dark. But one drone, 3 Zerglings for 2 adepts, it's not what you're looking for. The problem is right now, the Zerglings are going to counterattack, and this is effectively going to shut down the Oracle harassment. Either that, or Nightmare is going to choose to delay his 3rd Nexus. Apparently that's what we're going to do, but that now almost forces this Oracle to deal damage on the other side of the map. There's 4 Queens in a perfect spot, look at that. Great positioning right there by Dark. Spore Crawler set up in the main base too. Prioritizing an Overlord in the natural expansion, so no free pickings over there. Honestly, really nicely done right here by the Zerg. And that makes the lack of a 3rd Nexus here a lot more scary. So this is what happens against good Zergs very frequently. You lose 1 adept, or 1 adept, right? Maybe even 2 adepts. You don't really get a lot of damage done. Suddenly your 3rd Nexus is delayed, and you don't deal damage with the Oracles. And this is where Dark starts pulling ahead very rapidly. Now, it's an interesting follow-up right here from Nightmare. He decides to go both Twilight Council as well as Robo Facility, all before a 3rd. 3rd will start up here eventually. These adepts are going to be enough. Oracles, in the meantime, trying their best to harass. But you're looking for like 10 worker kills here as Protoss. Maybe like 6, 7, or 8 or so, right? Minimum. Against this particular start for the Zerg, and he's not really getting it. Now, this is also not Dark powering out that many drones, to be honest. He's actually very keen on the defense. Yeah, making sure that he's crossing his T's, dotting his I's. He's not just going head first into making a massive drone here. Kind of feel like he could have, but he decided that he wanted to prioritize not losing drones rather than, losing some of them. Already thinking about making a 4th hatchery as well, it seems. Bailing Nest on the back of this together with the +1 melee. Alright, there's the 3rd Nexus. This does become a bit of a tricky game to play for Zerg as well, because you're looking at this 3rd Nexus and you're like, oh, okay, that's like a minute and a half later than it should have been. Perfect, right? At least personally, I judge a lot of the Protoss attacks based off of the expansion timings, but obviously Nightmare in the meantime was spending his resources on additional tech. So even though this Nexus is late, the attack is going to be slightly earlier. Good catch right here as well from the Protoss. He saw those Banelings, assuming he looked at them. Yeah, it's not like, since they're not structures, they're not going to be visible through the fog of war. I think he should be okay. Zergling Baneling attack over here as well on the right though. He sees these units, indeed he did notice them. 2 Archons finishing up at the 3rd. Look at this. Brilliant stuff here, once again, by our Protoss. Battery overcharge is going to activate. I mean, that was beautiful. Really well done. Immediate 4th Nexus, by the way, so maybe the 3rd was late, but the 4th is going to be nice and early. Now, charge is done as well, so this is charge first here, no sort of blink opener or anything along those lines. This is Nightmare saying, yo, I am happy to play the macro game. You can make as many drones as you like, I am not scared of you. Okay. Well, he's braver than I am. Roachborn coming up together with a lair. +1 melee at this point is done. Dark actually super late on the lair. This lair is several minutes late. I'm not sure what happened here. Maybe he assumed that it started up. I mean, we see a lot of late lairs as of, well, late. Sorry. It's just one of those things where all of it pivots on the lair timing, right? Like, if you want to go Spire, Nidus Worm, Hive, anything, it all is based around the... You can't really go for an attack, I guess. Other than a Queen March, but at this point, that's already too late. So I guess we're just making drones. Yeah, drones, roaches, more and more stuff over here on the right side of the map. One thing I found actually in my own games is that this base is very difficult to defend. Mostly because this is a high ground and getting creep up there is very important, but also quite tough. So this is a lair right now that's done, but we're not even going into the roach speed upgrade. Instead, we're going +2 melee, which I really don't love. I think roach speed is a no-brainer here. Unless he feels like Protoss is going to attack very soon and he's just going to make a lot of Ravagers. No Bane speed or anything like that either. Instead, we're making 7 OVs. Yep, not a fan of this. Nightmare in the meantime, building up his eco. Ready for a little, well, run by it almost looks like, but this is the majority of his army. And he's gonna catch a lot of Zerglings here. Storm on the back of this. +1 ground weapons is finishing up. That's gonna make those Zealots like 50% stronger against unupgraded armored Zerglings. There's Baneling speed and there's Roach speed as well. But the tech here for Zerg is very slow. As Dark is finishing up a Roach speed, Psionic Storm is gonna be finished for the Protoss. And this is, in my mind at the very least, a much later upgrade. At least with the way that these matchups generally play out, Roach speed should be done. It should be done long before any sort of Sonic Storms. Because say you want to go for like a Roach Baneling attack right here as the Zerg, maybe it could line up with +2 melee. Well, normally you want to hit before Storm is done, but Nightmare is going to finish up Storm like a minute before any real big attack for Zerg can really happen. Unless Dark wants to go for an attack without Bane speed? Without Roach speed? Without +2? I don't love it. I think that's gonna go horribly wrong. So this is missing his timing window, and then at the same time, Dark is also not tacking up towards the Hive. So yeah, he almost needs to get lucky. Now, Nightmare is not doing it. Nightmare is not stepping onto creep here anytime soon. Instead, he's ready to, I guess, do a flyby. Okay, fair enough. And he's also transitioning towards a fleet beacon. Look at the spread right here on all these Protoss units. Hero over here taking notes as well about this wall off, although I say that and immediately the Zealots, or sorry, the Zerglings end up surrounding all of this. Yeah, don't love the Immortals right there getting surrounded, but at the very least, these are acceptable losses for Nightmare, nothing all too crazy. Banelings rolling in on the right side, but excellent stasis ward setup. Look at this stuff, man. I really feel like Protoss players, just at the highest level of StarCraft, have gotten so much better at playing macro games over the last year. I know that, like, patches, I guess, have been working out reasonably well for them, but not that much has changed in the grand scheme of things. They've all just gotten so much better. Well, not all of them, but most of them have gotten so much better at holding on to this multi-pronged aggression. Like, how many games did I cast in the past where Protoss has all their armies sitting over here, and then a bunch of Banelings, blah, 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 roll over here, yada, blah, 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 roll over here. The entire mineral line is gone, and Protoss suddenly is dead. These Banelings didn't even get close to a mineral line. Doesn't matter if they can no longer one-shot probes with +2 melee. They didn't even see any of the probes. Beautiful stuff right here by Nightmare. I don't love this here from Dark. So now finally do we have the Infestation Pit coming up. Maybe Dark almost disrespecting his opponent a little bit here, though. Yeah, like I said, Nightmare has stepped it up a bunch. I don't really know exactly when these last two when these two have last played against one another, but okay, these Zerglings are destroying stuff, though. Yeah. Eventually, Protoss does win that fight, but that is a bunch of Zerglings trading out against some expensive units. Although I say that, only 2 Immortals. That's really the only stuff here that's gone down that Nightmare may be regretting. Look at this. He's ahead economically, he's ahead in tech, and he's been trading cost efficiently against a Zerg. This is some ludicrous stuff. Not generally what we see. There's the Mama ship coming up. 2 additional Stargates on the production tab. I would love to see air upgrades here already for the Protoss player, and he starts it up. Perfect. Thank you for making me sound smart, Nightmare. Man, me and Nightmare, we're such a team. Anyways, I don't even know if he speaks English. Doesn't matter. Banelings rolling forward. Okay, this may be the first big win that Dark's been aiming for this entire time. Yep, Banelings are rolling in. Mama ship pops right now. She's gonna be killing Banelings, I guess. Yeah, 22 workers. Couple expensive units go down as well. Still not in love with it, guys. The thing is, if we had this from a Zerg who's at 90 drones, sure, Dark can replenish this. He's doing it off of 70 workers, however, which essentially means that he's committed. Like, it's not like he is, this is like killing a planetary fortress from Terran while you have like, you know, 20 Banelings in total and you don't have any money coming in for more, right? Like, it's a bit funky. Like, sure, you kill all of that infrastructure for Protoss and you slow down their economy, but Nightmare has been wanting to play a slow game regardless. I don't think he really minds. He'll just rebuild those probes and continue improving his army. As a matter of fact, I guess this mostly just opened up supply for Nightmare to even consider trading in some higher tier units instead. Now the Hive, however, is done. There's the +3, +2 over here, Adrenal Glands. These upgrades here are gonna make that exact same army here from Dark significantly more scary. Especially Adrenal Glands. This is about a 40% attack speed improvement for Zerglings, which is absolutely tremendous. Suddenly every single Zergling is gonna have Stimpak, basically. But, you know, without the damage that they take and permanently. Anyways, carriers are coming though, and last time I checked, carriers don't care much about Adrenal Glands Lings. Dark is essentially trying to overwhelm his opponent with harassment. And while one of those attacks did go off, the rest has been shaky at best. Alright, well here's attack number 69. Good storms right there. Push over here on the right. Look at them, already evacuating the probes. Yeah, can't kill any probes when there aren't any. 200 IQ. Banelings over here in the meantime, sneaking into the natural expansion. Problem is, at this point, there's not even that many probes over here, so that was like 20 Banelings for 4 workers. I don't love it. Lings over here are getting cleaned up as well. Remaking the probes that are lost. Dark, what do we have for anti-air? Do we have a Spire? No. We don't have a Hydralisk Den. We have 7 Queens. So these Queens are positioned right now to intercept the Prism, and I think they may have actually killed one. Yeah, I think they did. Okay, I think actually this is the first time that Dark sees the Skytles transition. I kind of feel like this has been a pretty obvious one, right? Because what else could Protoss be doing at this point? But Dark going for what seems to be a reactionary Spire. If Nightmare knew, I think it could just attack move right now. Mama Ship, 3 carriers. It's gonna hit like a truck against the anti-air that's currently available, but he's giving Dark the benefit of the doubt. Big storms end up going down over here. Couple White Templar though did fall. Yeah, if he knew, like he assumes here that Dark is well prepared against a Skytles transition, right? Because it's really the only option that Protoss has, but Dark somehow, some way, not quite ready for it. He's going for a couple Infestors, okay. Fungal Growth is nice. Microbial Shroud can kind of work. No armor upgrades here though for the Zerg, so this is like a full glass cannon approach right here from Dark. Alright, well here's the bulldozer. All the Protoss armies are meeting together in the middle of the map, it seems. Only problem here for Nightmare is that he's so maxed out right now that he can't actually warp in reinforcing Zealots to push back these Lings, so he's forced to split off some of his army. Interesting split right here though. I feel like that split is too big. This could backfire, but there's still not really a lot of flying units available. For Dark, that is. Corrosive Biles? Okay. Microbial Shroud on Roaches and Ravagers, and then Biles against carriers. We're gonna recall these units. I think 1 carrier fell. You know what? Corrosive Bile may just be the best anti-air tool that you have at your disposal. He did kill the Nexus over here, but I guess it came at the cost as well for, yeah, a Hatchery on the side of the Zerg. I'm still favoring this position here for Nightmare, but now he does have to play Dark in a late game. Which, yeah, it scares me a bit. Still though, this army has not really quite been addressed yet. Like, we did see an attack there, but neither player really lost that much. And this late game army here for Nightmare is about 10 times as good as the late game army here for Dark. Or I guess this is not a late game army, it's a mid game army at best. Another carrier, by the way, fell right there. 2 Corrosive Biles. A little sloppy, maybe. Activating the cloaking field right now on the Mama Ship. Corrosive Biles just trying to zone against this Protoss army to the best of his abilities. Zealot run by in the meantime in the bottom left-hand corner. There's a Hatchery that they just passed by, but I guess that's okay. Zergling... No, I thought it was a Zergling run by, but those are drones sitting there. In the meantime, other drones over here in the bottom left just got destroyed. Trading Banelings for Zealots? That's a trait that Nightmare will take any day of the week. Nightmare decides to push aggressively forward. Mama Ship right now goes down as well. 2 Corrosive Biles. I mean, that is all a little lucky, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think a single carrier should have gone down, let alone all the carriers, and then, well, exception for 1. Nightmare's economy, though, is still substantially better than Dark. And Dark is playing a very disposable army here. I think there's just too much. That was by no means the best micro right there from Nightmare. I mean, losing Skytles units against a Zerg who doesn't have a counter against Skytles is not ideal. But either way, his economy was too big for too long, and after some fantastic micro and defensive play, it's our Protoss who obtains the victory in game number 2. Alrighty, and that takes us to the map Site Delta. Final game in this best-of-3 series. Dark setting up control groups on the minimap, at least for all of the bases on the left side of the map. Wonder if we're gonna be getting there. Anyways. Yeah. I liked what Dark was doing overall, but strategically it was just bad, right? Like his execution on those Ling Run buys and Baneling roll buys and corrosive biles, and all of it was really strong, but he was doing it off of a relatively small Zerg economy, and then on top of that he didn't have a counter against the late game Protoss units. So yeah, his execution of the attacks was solid, his execution of the defense was really good too, but the strategy just sucked. Anyways, drone right there pretending to go for an expansion over on the right, or sorry, the left side of the map. I always mess up my left and right, okay? My grandpa taught me when I was a kid that my left hand is where my thumb is on the right, and my right hand is where my thumb is on the left. So shout out to Grandpa for making it confusing to 6-year-old Lowko. I still think of that whenever I mess it up. It doesn't happen very often anymore, but anyways, Hatchery, yeah, I think is gonna go down, not in the Zerg's natural, actually, also in the Zerg's natural, but also on the side of the Protoss. We have Hatch into Hatch, natural into natural. Zealot coming up right now for Nightmare. And on top of that, oh, Proby. Hello, buddy. Okay. He does decide to join in as well. 6 probes right here. Zapping away at a hatchery. This will go down eventually, especially once the Zealot pops. But of course, pretty annoying here. So this is almost like a bit of a skill check here from Dark. I don't think this is actually an optimal way to play this matchup. But it's annoying, right? A lot of Protoss players can be really good when they get to play their own game. I think Nightmare already showed us with the timing of that third base and the way that he approached the macro game that he is a flexible player. But I can't blame Dark for doing this. A lot of players can be very good when they get to play the style that they've been playing every single day in and day out, and they've been going for the same strategy over and over and over again, and then suddenly you go up against Dark who throws a massive curveball. Like, how do you adjust when your natural expansion is this much later? I actually think this gas is a little bit too late, so it may have already affected Nightmare just a tad. Okay. Did he scout the hatchery over there? No, he did not, but I guess it's a safe assumption to make at this point, although that third hatchery here for Dark, I guess technically is 4th, it is a little early. Stargate opener once again for Nightmare. You want to see a magic trick? Okay, perfect. It's now a little closer to finishing. I wanted to finish it all the way, but I noticed that there was a lot of movement on the minimap as the Zealot decided to go in for the counter. He's looking for a third hatchery right now. Yeah, so that probe indeed should have checked for where the third nexus, or the Zerg nexus rather, was planted down. Ooh, he gets the wrap around here too, so still no confirmation of a third base on the side of the Zerg. So that would have been an easy scout right there for Probius, but Probius did not check out that location on the map. I guess the Oracle can get some vision here eventually, but yeah. A lot of Zerglings, by the way, going across the map. I'm a little surprised with the amount of links that Dark made here. Maybe he assumed that this was going to be a double adept push, something along those lines. Because he did put himself behind, at least in the work account, a little bit. But anyways, since there's no third nexus here, I think he'll be able to justify it. There's the Oracle. So Nightmare is still in the dark against Dark. Now we will see, though. Yep, turns out everything's pretty normal. We're just doing a little bit of sightseeing now. This is Protoss on holiday. This is what they do. Where do you think Protoss players would go on holiday? Probably France. Because, you know, they have loads of different cheeses. I don't know, there's lots of places that sell cheese, but I guess the smelliest ones. The smelliest ones, yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think Protoss players go on holiday to Paris. If you give them 10 options, they will go to Paris every time. Makes sense. Anyways, not in love with this start right here for Nightmare. His work account is kind of trash. His third Nexus is very late. And it looks like the curveball right there for Dark did actually end up working out. Now, how could it have been prevented? This is good, though. Oh, don't lose the... never mind. It's not good anymore. How could it have been prevented? Well, remember that scouting worker? It should have just popped by the left side of the map before it went home. That was a hatchery that was much faster than per usual, but apparently it's a timing that you have to take into account right there as a Protoss player. And ultimately, that put Nightmare in the dark for too long. Losing an Oracle right there as well is quite sloppy. I don't mind killing 7 drones. That's good, obviously, for the Protoss, but it's 10 times better if you don't lose an Oracle, because those Oracles are super handy later on. We saw it in the previous game, not just with the Pulsar Beam, but also the Stasis Wards. Don't forget about the Stasis Wards in the in the second game of the series. First game was so quick, I'd already forgotten about it. That's the one with the Queen Walk. Now we have a Nexus going down at nearly 6 minutes of in-game time. So normally with a regular Stargate opener and without a proxy hatch, this would pop up at about the 3 minutes and 45 second mark. 3 minutes 50, depending on how clean the execution was from Protoss early on, but this is minutes later right now. Which makes it difficult in my mind at the very least to imagine seeing a macro game out of this. I think Nightmare is probably gonna try, but Dark has some really strong pushing power here. Personally, I would love to see something like a Spire. I think a Spire could be really powerful, but okay. Not quite the case. It doesn't seem like Dark is really favoring Spire right now. He's been going for a lot of Nidus Worms and just a lot of shenanigans with aggression in general. Okay. I don't think Nightmare can really attack. He's gonna try. The problem is, right, Zerg will be happy to overproduce army here and then counterattack. We have +1 missile here already done for Dark. He's gonna go into roach speed as well. It's about halfway done. So this attack right here for Nightmare is lining up quite good for the Zerg player, because he's been making non-stop army to prepare for an attack himself for quite a bit. If he can fight on creep first and then counterattack while making non-stop army, I think that works out really well for the Zerg player. Could even send the queens across. I wouldn't mind seeing another queen march here. Okay. Nightmare, I think you gotta go home. He doesn't even have an observer here in the mix. That creep, he's just marching around on it. Gets a drone, I guess? There's no way. There's no way, Nightmare. Goliath Reconstitution is gonna finish up. That's gonna give those roaches a little bit of additional speed, and there they go. They're ready to intercept this army. We gotta recall or do something here, man. Please recall, Nightmare. Dark's gonna destroy his army if he gets the chance. Yeah, so Nightmare is thinking about a Muta transition too. There is no Muta transition over here. Interception right there on the Adepts. Looks like for now, at least the Archons and the Zealots are saved, but that's one Archon down the drain. I guess the one thing that Nightmare did get going for himself right there is a lot of time. Problem is, look at the supply count. Nothing really much has happened in this game except that Dark confused his opponent. And if Dark was a Pokemon, that confusion has been very effective, okay? Okay. Now Dark is ready to push forward. There's a Stasis Ward set up over here. Yeah, that Stasis Ward is big. Half the Zerg army right there gets taken out of the equation temporarily. Okay. You know what? That stasis may actually just be a saving grace. Although obviously Dark is not gonna leave them alone. He's not just gonna let those units die. He wants to engage right as the stasis wears off, which is right about right now. Yep. Go, 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 go. He's just standing here and fighting. I think there might just be too much Zerg. Yep. So all of this just stems from the early game. I think Nightmare was a little concerned about a follow-up 2-base all-in. And it cost him to delay his 3rd base. Then I lost an Oracle as well. Having an extra Oracle for the defense here would be amazing. 19 probes end up going down, 20. This Nexus is certainly gonna fall too. And at this point, the supply count is doubled. An Immortal right there, yeah, we can juggle all we want. Immortal ends up falling too. Probes here valiantly fighting against Lings, and I do get one more. At least as I switch my camera to it. They may have already killed a couple. But right now, it's about time, I think, to find the G button on the keyboard, Nightmare. Valiant effort. Now, he's not gonna go down without a fight. You know what? You gotta give it to the man. Does he have a sentry at least to try and slow down this attack? Dark really doesn't need to push up this ramp. I was gonna say, it's very dangerous. Because a couple force fields, your army gets sliced in half, and then the Immortals with battery overcharge are shooting away at your roaches. They can destroy stuff very quick. So Dark instead decides to fire up the +1 Carapace upgrade as well. Overseer scouting in the main base confirms that nothing weird's happening. He sees everything. So he knows, yeah, he knows that this Protoss player is very broke. Third Nexus starts up here once again on the right side of the map, but Dark decides to actually give his opponent a little bit of respect. I kind of feel like this is the first time we're seeing it from Dark in this series. Give him a little bit of respect. Move back home. Don't take any chances. Go for the guaranteed win in maybe a few minutes from now. I think it makes a lot of sense. Because I don't cast a lot of games like that where the games are thrown. But trust me, it happens more often than, well, StarCraft 2 pro gamers would like to admit. Dark is basically waiting until he gets an opportunity where he doesn't have to fight up a ramp into Protoss infrastructure. Instead, he gets to fight over here before all of the infrastructure is done into a flat plane, right? Which makes the game so much nicer. He's even thinking about going for a surround right here on this army. Okay, another stasis ward. I mean, they are big, but even with like a third of the Zerg army occupied, there's still just not enough Protoss. He's trying his best though, juggling all of those Immortals to his heart's content. But ultimately, there's only, room in the prism for 2 of them. That's third Nexus 2.0 going down once again. No cancel on that one either. GG is called. And it's Dark who obtains the victory 2-1.